Hey folks, want to come on here and talk about State Street. By the way, this is the 100th episode. It'd be great if you could follow along, hit the button, or leave a review. I believe it's on Apple, we're over on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Substack. So I think that's the four platforms. If you have any feedback, feel free to reach out. That said, let's get into the show. State Street Corporation, the financial services firm. State Street Corporation is a leading U.S. financial services holding company headquartered in Boston, Massachusetts. It's one of the world's largest providers of services for institutional investors, including investment servicing, investment management, and trading. Key facts: founded 1792, one of the oldest financial institutions in the US. Headquarters Boston, Massachusetts, USA. What it does: custody and administration of assets, record keeping, investment services, trading, and investment management for large institutional clients such as pension funds, governments, and fund managers. Global reach: operates in over 100 markets with tens of thousands of employees worldwide. Its investment management arm, formerly known as State Street Global Advisors, has recently been rebranded as State Street Investment Management. Recent developments: the firm is expanding operations globally, including new hubs and partnerships in regions like the Middle East. State Street has also been in the news for strategic policy changes and financial performance trends. Quote, State Street, end quote. Street names in various U.S. cities. This is super interesting. Quote, State Street is also a common street name in many American cities, often a historic or central thoroughfare. Examples include State Street, Chicago, Illinois, a major north-south artery through the city, historically famous and central to the city's layout. State Street, Boston, Massachusetts, one of Boston's oldest streets in the financial district near historic sites like the Old State House. State Street, Manhattan, New York City, a short street in the financial district of Lower Manhattan with historic significance. State Street, Portland, Maine, a significant downtown route on the Portland Peninsula. There are also other State Streets in cities like Albany, Salt Lake County, and Madison. Summary: as a company, State Street Corporation is a major global financial services and asset management firm. As a place name, State Street refers to several prominent streets in cities across the US. Over to Gemini, Google.com. Depending on who you ask, State Street is either a historic Boston landmark or the, quote, quiet giant, end quote, of the global financial system. Given the context of your previous question, you are likely referring to the financial powerhouse. Here is a breakdown of State Street's significance in 2026. Number 1, the financial giant State Street Corporation, headquartered in Boston. State Street, NYSE, STT. That's on the New York Stock Exchange. It would be labeled, or the the ticker symbol, is STT. Is one of the world's leading providers of financial services to institutional investors. It is effectively the, quote, plumbing, end quote, of the global markets. The, quote, big three, end quote, along with BlackRock and Vanguard. State Street is one of the 3 largest index fund managers in the world. Asset custody: they are a, quote, custodian bank, end quote, meaning they hold and protect assets for huge entities like pension funds and central banks. As of early 2026, they have roughly 51 trillion, presuming USD, in assets under custody. The ETF pioneer their investment arm, State Street Global Advisors, SSGA, created the very first US exchange traded fund in 1993. the SPDR S&P 500 ETF, ticker SPY, which remains one of the most traded assets on the planet. The quote, fearless girl, end quote, connection. State Street is also the firm behind the famous quote, fearless girl, end quote, statue, originally placed facing the charging bull on Wall Street in 2017. The statue was commissioned by State Street to advocate for gender diversity on corporate boards. It became a global cultural icon, though it also sparked irony-tinged headlines when the company later settled a lawsuit regarding pay equity. Number 3, the physical landmark Boston. In its home city of Boston, quote, State Street, end quote, refers to the historic heart of the financial district. The old house, or the old State House, located on the street, it's where the Boston Massacre took place in 1770. Union Bank roots. The company itself traces its lineage back to Union Bank, chartered in 1792, making it the second oldest continuously operating bank in the United States. Interesting. One sec. Just over on Perplexity, State Street is a large American multinational financial services group focused on institutional investors. What State Street is: State Street Corporation is a bank holding company headquartered in Boston and is one of the world's largest providers of services to institutional investors, which we talked about. It is among the oldest continuously operating US banks, roots back to 1792, which we discussed, and is classified as a global, systemically important bank. Main business lines: investment servicing through State Street Bank and Trust, often called Global Services. It provides custody, fund accounting, fund administration, middle office outsourcing, and related back office services for asset owners and managers. Investment management through State Street Global Advisors. It offers index and active strategies, ETFs, including the SPDR range, which kind of discussed or maybe fully earlier, and other mandates for institutional clients. Global markets. It provides research, trading, foreign exchange, securities lending, and financing solutions, but does not run proprietary trading books. Scouting clients as of late 2023-2025 data, State Street had around $4 to $5 trillion US dollars in assets under management and over 40 to 50 trillion US dollars in assets under custody and administration. Its clients include mutual funds, pension funds, we talked about insurers, sovereign wealth funds, investment managers, and other large institutional investors across more than 100 markets. Very interesting. Let's look this up as well. I was in the city earlier. There's a place there called the CBD, or the Central Business District, which may be the same thing. I'm only in this area less than 60 days. I think. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, definitely. Arriving the 26th of December. So yeah, that would make sense. State Street Corporation, one of the world's major financial services company, has a significant presence in Australia, providing asset servicing, custody, investment administration, and related services to institutional clients like super funds and institutional investors. State Street in Australia, headquarters and offices. State Street Services Australia Pty Limited has offices in Melbourne, 120 Collins Street, Sydney, 420 George Street, level 14, and Brisbane, 80 Ann Street. They've operated in Australia since 1986 and now employ 500 plus local market specialists. What they do locally: State Street Australia provides institutional financial services such as custody and fund administration, holding and managing assets on behalf of clients, investment servicing, fund accounting, performance reporting, compliance reporting, alternative investment services and securities lending, superannuation fund servicing for large Australian super funds, client partnerships. It was selected as the custodian and administrator for Queensland Brighter Super, managing custody and fund administration for over 30 billion Australian dollars of assets. It also provides services for institutions like Challenger Limited, though its investment administration platforms through its investment administration platforms. Investment management arm in Australia. The asset management division, formerly State Street Global Advisors, now known as State Street Investment Management, operates in Australia under Australian financial licenses, offering investment management and ETF services. Summary: in Australia, State Street is not a customer or consumer bank like a retail bank, but a major institutional financial service provider, especially in superannuation custody, fund administration, and global investment servicing, supporting large funds and institutional investors with back office reporting and asset servicing capabilities. It's fascinating. We're just coming up close to 15 minutes. One key thing to know about State Street Corporation is that it is one of the world's largest custodians of assets, meaning it safeguards and services trillions of dollars on behalf of institutional investors like pension funds, superannuation funds, governments, and asset managers. It's not a typical retail bank. Its core business is holding, administering, and servicing assets for large institutions globally. I think that's it. I don't know whether to add anything else other than we've made it to 100. Thankfully, we are all safe. And yeah, I've had a lot of fun. If you have any positive reinforcement or, affirmations or anything to say that would reinforce things in a positive way, feel free to, or in a happy way, feel free to reach out. And hope you're getting some value from this show. I think I'm learning a lot. It's regarding business, careers, technology. It would be wonderful, like I said, if you would like to follow along or leave a review. I'd very much appreciate it. We have some guests lined up for the future, and all going well, they'll come on the show. And what else? Hopefully get a sponsor. I parked that for a while. I was moving over to Sydney, Australia, so I decided to hold off. But wait and see. I reached out to a few people here, and we'll see how that goes. Again, appreciate you listening, folks. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And I'll just repeat the one thing to know about State Street before we close. Is State Street Corporation, one key thing to know about State Street Corporation is that it's one of the world's largest custodians of assets, meaning it safeguards and services trillions of dollars on behalf of institutional investors like pension funds, superannuation funds, governments, and asset managers. It is not a typical retail bank. Its core business is holding, administering, and servicing assets for large institutions globally. That's it. Appreciate you listening, and enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening. Thanks.